Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivsari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivsari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate, Gopesha Gopikanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindaneshwari, Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari. So Sri Radhe Golokananda Bhagwan ki
Jai.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Sumit.
Jai Shri Krishna Priya.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Srinaji, Nisha, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Bhaiya. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
All right. So, yesterday we completed chapter 17. Where Maharaj Parikshit punishes and welcomes and gives rewards to Kali, right? He still leaves the Kali alive. Excuse me. Hare Krishna Soham. So he leaves Kali alive, but at the same time gives him a punishment that he can only stay wherever, we talked about all those inauspicious things, and that's where Kali is kind of living. And then Maharaj Kali, let's see what happens next, right? So Maharaj Parikshit. Maharaj Parikshit is cursed by a Brahman boy. That's the title of chapter 18, right? So Maharaj Parikshit starts to head back, and then let's see what happens on the way, right? So text 1. Suta Vacha. Yove Dronyastra Viplusto Namatu Rudare Mritah Anugrahad Bhagvatah Krishna Shadruta Kramanah. So
Sri Suta Goswami said, due to the mercy of the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who acts wonderfully, Maharaj Parikshit, though struck by the weapon of the son of Jonah in his mother's womb, could not be burned. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, right? So even though Brahmastra, as we all read that, right, by Ashwathama, son of Dronacharya, in Uttara's mother's womb, Maharaj Parikshit was saved by Lord Sri Krishna. Yeah. And who is saying this? Sud Goswami ji. Why is so Sud Goswami ji? Now remember, if you remember, all the rishis headed by Sonak Muni were asking this question to Sud Goswami ji Maharaj, like, what is the relation? Why are you telling us about Parikshit Maharaj? And when they were hearing all the glory of Lord Sri Krishna, and Sud Goswami ji started talking about Parikshit Maharaj, all the rishis are asking that question, like, why are you talking about that? And what does it have to do with Lord Sri Krishna? Because ultimately, all the rishis really wanted to hear about all the glorification and all the glories of Lord Sri Krishna. So now Sud Goswami is coming back and he's saying that that Maharaj Parikshit was actually saved by Lord Sri Krishna. He remembers that. And then let's go to the next shlok. Mukesh.
ब्रह्मकोपत्य यताद यस्तु लक्ष ब्रह्मकोपित्याद्यात यस्तु तक्षकात प्राण विप्लवात सम्मुमोहो होरु भयाद भगवत्य प्रीताशयः. Furthermore, Maharaj Parikshit was always consciously surrendered to the personality of Godhead, and therefore he was neither afraid nor overwhelmed by fear due to a snake bird which was to bite him because of the fury of the Brahman boy. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, as you can see, Sud Goswami Maharaj is saying that Maharaj Parikshit is going to be bitten by a snake bird. Okay. And why? Because of a fury of a Brahman boy. And then we will see in the upcoming shloks, what happens. But what really Sud Goswami Maharaj is saying is that even though that was going to happen, he was neither afraid nor overwhelmed by the fear, because he was consciously surrendered to the personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. So when that happens, Bhagavad Arpit Ashaya Hai. So when you arpit yourself to Bhagwan, the Lord, Supreme Lord, right, and you take his ashray, then you don't get afraid and nor overwhelmed by the fear. That's what Sud Goswami Maharaj is telling all the Rishi Munis here. Anilji?
जी हाँ. उत्सृज्य सर्वतः संगम विज्ञाताजित संस्थिते वैयासिकेर्जयो शिष्यो गंगायाम स्वम कलेवरम. Furthermore, after leaving all his associates, the king surrendered himself as a disciple to the son of Vyasa, Sukadev Goswami, and thus he was able to understand the actual position of the personality of Godhead, and at last gave up his material body on the bank of the Ganges. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, right? So this is Sud Goswami Maharaj telling about Parikshit Maharaj that he surrendered himself to whom? Disciple of the son of Vyasdev, right? Sukdev Goswami Ji Maharaj. As we know, Sukdev Goswami Ji Maharaj is son of Ved Vyas Ji, who has manifested Srimad Bhagvatam. Parikshit Maharaj surrenders unto him, and then he understands the actual position of the personality of Godhead through this Srimad Bhagvatam, which we are reading right now, and before giving up his material body, Ganga river ke kinare par. So, shall I just read a few lines here? It's pretty transcendental, and like Shivam, do you want to read this?
Unless one thoroughly understands the superior or eternal energy of the Lord, it is not possible to leave material energy. However, one may theoretically speculate on the true nature of the absolute truth. By the grace of the Lord Krishna, Maharaja Parikshit was able to receive the mercy of such a personality as Sukdev Goswami, as thus he was able to know the actual position of the unconquerable Lord. It is very difficult to find the Lord from Vedic literatures, but it is very easy to know him by the mercy of a liberated devotee like Sukdev Goswami. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, right? So by the mercy of the Lord, you can find such Sant. Nisha?
नोत्तम श्लोक वार्तानां जुषतां तत्कथामृतं स्वात्सं भ्रमोन्तकालेऽपि स्मरतां तत्पदाम्बुजम्. This was so because those who have dedicated their lives to the transcendental topics of the personality of Godhead
of whom the Vedic hymns sing and who are constantly engaged in remembering the lotus feet of the Lord. Do not run the risk of having misconceptions even at the last moment of their lives. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Right. So Tat Katha Amritam. Yeah. And Antkale Api said, and Smaratam, right? Remembering what? Padam Bhujam, right? So lotus feet of the Lord. So when you are constantly chanting and talking about the transcendental topics, even at the end, last moment of the lives, you don't have any misconception. You surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? And remember Him. So, Soham, do you want to read this?
The highest perfection of life is attained by remembering the transcendental nature of the Lord at the last moment of one's life. This perfection of life is made possible by one who has learned the actual transcendental nature of the Lord from the Vedic hymns sung by a liberated soul like Sukadeva Goswami, or someone in that line of succession. There is no gain in hearing the Vedic hymns from some mental speculator when the same is heard from an actual self, realized soul, and is properly understood by service and submission. Everything becomes transparently clear. Thus, a submissive disciple is able to live transcendently and continue to the end of life. By scientific adaptation, one is able to remember the Lord even at the end of life. When the power of remembrance is slackened due to derangement of bodily remembrance for a common man, it is very difficult to remember things as they are at the time of death. But by the grace of the Lord and His bona fide devotees, the spiritual masters can get this opportunity without difficulty, and it was done in the case of Maharaj Parikshit. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Soham. So, the most important part, it says very clearly, what is the highest perfection of life, right? And highest perfection of life is attained by remembering the transcendental nature of the Lord at the last moment of one's life. If you can achieve that, that's the highest perfection of life you have achieved. And how can that happen? For a common man, it's generally very difficult, but by the grace of the Lord and His bona fide devotees. And how do you get the grace of the Lord? Is by surrendering yourself, by chanting, by constantly hearing, by doing the devotional service. And there is a scientific adaptation. The scientific adaptation is what is explained, right? How do you chant constantly? How many rounds of chanting? How do we pray? So all those things, it becomes very easy to get to the highest perfection of life. Yeah, which is remembering the Lord at the last moment. And that's what we learn from Srimad Bhagvatam, actually. Tarun?
Tatvata Karlina Prabveta Pravisthorpiha Sarveta Yav Disho Mahanur Vyama Bhimanava Ekratra. As long as the great, powerful son of Abhimanyu remains the emperor of the world, there is no chance that the personality of Kali will flourish. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, right? Like Maharaj Parikshit, kind of kings can keep control on the Kali, even though the Kali has come, but being managed by like Maharaj Parikshit. Rinaji?
Yasmin Nahani Yarve Yarova Bhagwanu Sarja Gama. Tadaiva Vritto Asava Dharma Prabhava Kalihi. The very day and moment the personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, left this earth, the personality of Kali, who promotes all kinds of irreligious activities, came into this world.
All right. So the Kali Yuga had started, right? Basically. Sachin?
नानुद्वेष्टि कलिं सम्राट सारंग एव सारभुक कुशलान्याशु सिद्धांति नेतराणि कृतानि यत्. Maharaj Parikshit was a realist. Like the bees who only accept the essence of a flower, he knew perfectly well that in this age of Kali, auspicious things produce good effects immediately, whereas inauspicious acts must be actually performed to render effects. So he was never envious of the personality of Kali. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, right? So what I'm saying is, so there are some advantages also of the Kali Yuga. So Kali Yuga is not just like everything is bad, right? Inauspicious. But if you do good karmas, good effects are produced immediately. Whereas for inauspicious acts, you have to actually perform those to get the effect. Yeah. Actually, like it's kind of explained, right? Like for example, let's read this very quickly. Shiva?
At the end of the Srimad Bhagvatam, it is said that even though all the nefarious activities of the personality of Kali are present, there is a great advantage in the age of Kali. One can attain salvation simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Thus, Maharaja Parikshit made an organized effort to propagate the chanting of the Lord's holy name. Thus he saved the citizens from the clutches of Kali. It is for this advantage only that the great sages sometimes wish all good for the age of Kali. In the Vedas, it is also said that by discourse on Lord Krishna's activities, one can get rid of all the disadvantages of the age of Kali. In the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is also said that by the recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam, the Supreme Lord becomes at once arrested within one's heart. These are some of the great advantages of the age of Kali. And Maharaja Parikshit took all the advantages and did not think any ill of the age of Kali through his Vaishnavite cult. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, right? So many important things are mentioned here in this paragraph. Yeah. So one is there's a great advantage in the age of Kali. So there's also an advantage. What is the advantage? One can attain salvation simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Right? So we don't have to like Satyug and Treta Yuga, one had to be really performing lot of austere services, right? And doing a lot of havans and that kind of tapasya. But in Kali Yuga, you cannot do all that. But the advantage is you can still attain the salvation by just chanting the holy name of the Lord. And that's so easy, right? Is it that easy actually? Maybe not. Right? Like how, like are we able to like chant one round 108 times Hare Krishna Mahamantra on a daily basis? At least we come together and we chant one round. Right? You see so many devotees who are devoted to Lord Krishna, like especially in the ISKCON movement, you see like each of the devotee at least chants 16 rounds a day, right? So 16 rounds of jap they do every day. And that is why, irrespective of what kind of personality a person is, those devotees are great because they actually chant 16 rounds every day, besides doing so many other things, right? So, but the important point here is like chanting the holy name of the Lord can get the salvation. That's one thing, right? And sometimes the great sages, they want all good for the age of Kali, right? And actually you will hear that a lot of sages and even demigods, they want to appear on the earth and be able to hear about Lord Sri Krishna. Yeah. And then the other thing which we are doing currently in the beginning of the Srimad Bhagvatam, it is also said that by the recitation of Srimad Bhagvatam, the Supreme Lord becomes at once arrested within one's heart. Yeah. So by recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is what we are doing, we are reciting the shlok and the translation, right? It will take some time, but at least every day, we are reciting some of the shloks. And that way, because it is Lord Krishna's glory which we have done, like even just in 2.5 months, how many times you have done glory of Lord Sri Krishna, right? So these are the advantages of Kali, as being mentioned here in Srimad Bhagavatam itself. Ajay? Ajay?
Yeah. किन्नु बालेषु शूरेण करिणा धीर भीरुणा अप्रमतम प्रमेतेषु यो वृको नृपि वर्तते. Maharaj Parikshit considered that less intelligent men might find the personality of Kali to be very powerful, but that those who are self-controlled would have nothing to fear. The king was powerful like a tiger and took care of for the foolish, careless persons. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Right, many times we see some person doing like something really vague and then we praise, oh yeah, he's so powerful and all that, right? But that is the less intelligence. Nisha?
तद्वः पुण्यं पारीक्षितं मया वासुदेव कथोपेतमाख्यानं यदपृच्छत. O sages, as you did ask me, now I have described almost everything regarding the narration about Lord Krishna in connection with the history of pious Maharaj Parikshit. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, right? So yes, we can see. Soham, just read this.
Srimad Bhagavatam is the history of the activities of the Lord, and the activities of the Lord are performed in relation with the devotees of the Lord. Therefore, the history of the devotee is not different from the history of Lord Krishna's activities. A devotee of the Lord regards both the activities of the Lord and those of his pure devotees and on an equal level, for they are all transcendental. Hare Krishna.
Krishna, right? So essentially what he's saying is Srimad Bhagavatam is the history of the activities of the Lord, right? So we read about all Lord Sri Krishna's activities. And that's how Vedvyasji also got satisfied by manifesting Srimad Bhagavatam. So we are going to pause here as we only have 2 minutes left. Any comments? Anyone? Okay. So let's listen to the Kirtan RadheGovind by Kripalaji Maharaj for 2 minutes, and then we'll see you tomorrow again.